Whew. All right, so we are live. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to give a little second for some people to come in and hit in the video. This is Talks with Alex. We're here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Tonight, we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. But I will say this first. So we see that Joe Biden now has picked his vice president. I will say, one, that I may not necessarily be the happiest. I am very excited about an African-American woman being on the ticket. This is amazing for HBCUs. Kamala went to Howard. Bison, so now not only are we about to have a Supreme Court justice, we will be able to tout having the first African-American female. She is also an AKA. This is a big deal. She is very, very, very rooted in some of the major organizations in the African-American community, even more so than Barack Obama. So I definitely applaud her. And she is a child of, she's a huge deal. Like I said before, I may not necessarily be the happiest with the ticket because, of course, they represent a lot of the prison industrial complex. I mean, Joe Biden was one of the co-signers on every major bill that grew our prisons the way they have. And of course, Kamala Harris's background as an attorney in California, she's very moderate to live in such a liberal state. But all in all, she's African-American. I support Black people. So I will definitely be voting for Kamala Harris for vice president and for Joe Biden for president. And I will be silent as I do it. I mean, policy-wise, it's not what I'm looking for, but we'll be there, okay? But beyond all that, what I wanted to do was talk about Black lives. Black Lives Matter movement is happening. We saw it kind of blow up during this COVID season that we're in, this cycle, and we've seen massive protests around the country. I kind of wanted to get the perspective of people who aren't necessarily out there in your face all the time. We have the protest superstars and the people who talk on the media all the time. But it's always good just to hear some people that you see every day in your communities that are out here doing the great work. I would love to hear their perspective. So I have some people who are more mature, who have been seeing this for a long time, have been out there in these streets fighting for the cause. I have some people who are actively doing it that are millennials. I also have some people out there that are mothers, that are raising children, that are grandmothers. So I just wanted to hear the perspective of the Black woman on the Black Lives Matter, all right? So I have a great panel for you. I am excited about every last person on this panel. I am humbled that they told me yes, because they are amazing Black women that exhibit everything that a Black woman should. And so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce this panel. I'm excited about them. The first one that I want to introduce to you guys is Miss Jacqueline Wiggins. Miss Jacqueline Wiggins is a longtime resident of North Central Philadelphia and currently is a semi-retired educator. She has over 40 years of experience as a classroom teacher of English, language arts, and social studies in public, parochial, and charter schools, and is an adjunct instructor of English for Community College of Philadelphia. She has been an administrator at 2 HBCUs. HBCUs rock, yes. Historically Black colleges and universities, for the people who don't know, namely Florida A&M University. They have an amazing band, y'all. And Bennett College in institutional achievement. At the University of Massachusetts and Mount Holyoke College, I hope I'm saying that right. She worked in residential housing and education. Jacqueline has resource development experience working with many nonprofit organizations. In 2014 and 2018, Jackie became an elected committee person for the 32nd Ward, the 11th Division in North Central Philadelphia. She is active with a group called Stadium Stompers that is focused on preventing 35,000-seat sports stadium from being built in a residential neighborhood by Temple University, that's my neighborhood, as a tour guide. She gives tours of the Johnson House Historic Site and is the founder of her business, Wiggins Tours, and more. All right. The next person or woman that I'm going to introduce is one of my throwback. If you go through my photo album, you'll see pictures of us trying to save the world. We started a nonprofit together in DC when we worked at a detention center together, and we did a lot of cool work out there. Her name is Ms. Shauntrice Martin. All right. Shauntrice is the director and the founder of Feed the West, a food justice program committed to serving under-resourced neighborhoods in Louisville, Kentucky. Over the last 10 years, she has worked with hundreds of students in Belize, Iceland, Mexico, Trinidad, and Tobago, and across the U.S. This fall, she will open a Black Market, Kentucky. She will open Black Market, Kentucky, a sustainable Black-owned grocery store in her hometown. Oh, wow. She has earned numerous awards, including the 2019 Louisville 40 Under 40, the Coalition of Black Excellence Impact Award, and Silicon Valley Business Journal 2017 Woman of Influence. Oh, freaking love Shauntrice. All right. All right. And next we have somebody that I work with. She is an amazing advocate and voice. And I learned a little bit of something about her today, reading her biography. I'm telling you, these Black women are amazing. Okay. We have Miss Tara Sanders. Tara was born and raised in Northwest section of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tara is a graduate of Cheyney University, HBCUs, BA Social Relations, and St. Joseph's University, MS in Criminology. After graduation, she has worked with victims of domestic violence in the legal capacity. Ms. Tara resides in Montgomery County, PA. She has been married to Anthony Sanders for 13 years. I've not even worked at a place for 13 years. And she is the mother of a 1-year-old son, Anthony Jr., who is absolutely adorable. Okay? Adorable. All right? And then last but not least, now I'm telling you guys, these are people that I have been a fan of. They probably don't know that I'm that much of a fan, but I'm really a fan of all of them. Miss Ernie Bristow. I swear she is the hardest working advocate in Philadelphia. She is very passionate. All right. Ernie Bristow has been active in her community for close to 20 years in the Logan section of Philadelphia as one of the community leaders. One of Ernie's favorite sayings is, "We all need each other and peace." Ernie has received many awards in Philadelphia, and she has done a lot of great community work in Logan. Okay. So all of that's out the way. Let me go ahead and bring all of these amazing Black women on to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement. All right. I'm going to unmute your mics and you guys can go ahead and say hey, so we can make sure that we all can hear you. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Hey. How are you guys doing? So, get right on it. All right.
Yes.
Yes. So, Black Lives Matter, right? We all know that Black Lives Matter in the United States. This thing has been kind of exploding recently since we've been in COVID. Let me ask you a question: like, how do you feel about the movement as it's happening? All right, and I'm going to let Miss Jacqueline Wiggins go first. Like, how do you feel this movement has impacted the city of Philadelphia and this generation?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, good. Because I don't know, I touched something because I got this phone this fancy, and what can I tell you? Well,
no worries.
the thing is this: my thinking is this: Black Lives Matter is a continuation of our legacy as Black people. Every generation has done this part. Every generation does the step up, and the Black Lives Matter movement is no different. It's a continuation of our challenge in facing the institutional force of white racism as we have to do, and having to deal and heal with ourselves. So I think the Black Lives Matter movement needs to continue. There are elements with respect to any movement. You're going to have those that are straight on the mission, straight on the goal. There are going to be those who are part of that as joiners. There are going to be other folks that join for some other reasons. There are going to be those that want to do, some looting and whatever they're going to do. But sometimes that's a part of the movement. But I think that right now we are obligated, I feel, as a people, to continue to support that effort and continue our legacy, our historical and cultural legacy of doing what we do as women. Because you think about Black Lives Matter, it's founded by women. All right. So the reality is that I think sometimes with this statement, I cannot find it to save my life, but I know I heard him say it. This is Bishop Desmond Tutu. He said, "The world will change when women take their rightful place. And I think right now that our rightful place is doing just as we're doing, but we need to step up our game, and we need to, with the men, with the children, we need to keep it moving. Black Lives Matter matters because our lives matter. So that's my opening statement.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Wiggins. So Ernie, let me ask you, like, how do you feel about it? What was your first feelings when you saw it start to break out like it was doing here in Philadelphia?
When it first started in Philly, um, my emotions with this topic is all over the place. And the reason why I say that, because, a lot of times you can wear a lot of hats, but the hat that I wear is a mom. I have 4 children, and raising 4 children here in the city of Philadelphia. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So when I moved here with my mom in the mid-70s, I could pretty much say I was raised Philly and where I had my children. So the movement, and I'm piggyback off what Miss Jackie said, the movement has always been, but where we're at now is we have to be at this point right now. We have to be at a place where there is a movement that will continue, because beforehand we were all considered seen but not heard as Black women throughout the country, local. We all have our place. So
real quick, I think that I think you have us playing in the background on another device, and it's echoing into the speaker that you have. So if you could put that device on silent while you're talking, because it's giving us a serious echo.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Is that better?
There you go. That's
Okay.
way better. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry about that. That was my.
I wanted to hear what you got to say. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. So again, I believe I was saying that a lot of times as Black women, our place was pretty much seen and not heard. But the Black Lives Movement that are taking place throughout the country and here in Philadelphia, and what has gone on within the last couple of months, for me, and I'm speaking for myself, has been pretty overwhelming in a sense. And yes, we have to put it to a perspective of, things have to move forward. And if this what's going on with everything that's going on from the movement beginning back in 2013 to why it started, and that was from Trayvon Martin, being murdered. And it wasn't because he was not murdered by a cop. He was murdered, from someone so-called in the neighborhood. So the movement is great, and the bullet points behind the movement is awesome. But to move it to 2020, which I say we are not going back to where we were. 2020 changed everything. So the Black Lives Movement, from a perspective, not with my community hat on, but as a mom that worked very hard to make sure that my children are productive citizens, and my children's age are 36, 30, and my twins will be 22 this month. So that perspective, I could say not just is overwhelming, but it's just so much. And now being a grandmom of 3 boys, it's just so much to where you have to grasp on, to where you really have to educate yourself to be able to continue not only to speak to your children, but the children in the community, my children's friends, people who call me on the phone and have want my advice. You really have to come correct. You can't be blabbing or blah, blah, blah. You really have to come correct, because this is really a serious matter. And if we're trying to get to different points and point of views of respiration and, defunding, everything that's surrounded by it now, each day it decreased and increased to something to where you have to really know what you're speaking about to be able to stay strong in this situation and to move forward.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I get that. I think that is really the thing that we have to learn how to stay strong and have stamina in these movements. Tara, how does it make you feel? I know that you advocate for people on a regular basis, predominantly seniors. Um, how does this movement make you feel in the type of work that you do? I think
Especially to see like young people out there marching and educating themselves about, you know, how this movement should be. I mean, we've come a long way, but we still have work to do. And I get it. Like I said, I get excited about it when I see. I used to be a youth leader at my old church, and to see, you know, those young people out there marching, protesting, you know, just having a conversation about it, it excites me. And even speaking with my seniors on the telephone, I mean, so they're like, keep on, keeping on with the fight, keep doing what you're doing, sister. And I'm like, okay, like I don't feel like I'm doing a whole lot, just, you know, having conversations with them, you know, conversations with them about how they feel about the movement. I mean, it excites me. I'm excited about it. I'm for it.
well, Shauntrice, I mean, you know, I'll say this. Shauntrice and me have been friends for a long time. And I before was like, I was always the moderate, like, no, no, no. And Shauntrice was like, no, we need to tear this thing down. Like, how are you? And I was always like, no, we gotta work. And I later, like, I believe that me and Shauntrice kind of moved towards the same space. How is this making you feel, Shauntrice? Seeing these young people out there, but not only young people, it's a multicultural movement that is happening like crazy. How is this thing making you feel of what it's turned into?
Well, I'll say first, the Shauntrice that you met was definitely more out there and also didn't have a child. So we stormed the president of the university's office when I was in college and would not let him and his secretary leave until they met our demands. This Shauntrice, 35-year-old Shauntrice, just met with the new president of the university earlier this week to talk about funding for the Black market, a Black-owned grocery store, right? So radically different interactions, right? Here in Louisville, we have a very robust Black Lives Matter chapter that daily will go to our seniors, make sure they have something to eat, make sure they have someone to talk to. We also involve our seniors in the actions, right? So whether it's a prayer circle, they're calling the governor. So it's intergenerational from babies, like my son is 7 and he participates, all the way to our seniors. We make it intergenerational. It's multifaceted. So it's prayer circles, it's actions in person, it's writing letters, it's showing up and popping up at the mayor's office, it's having t-shirts, right? It's all these different things. And in every way that we show up through Black Lives Matter, it is unapologetic, right? It's saying like, we don't have to diminish our greatness. We don't have to hide our excellence to make white people feel comfortable, to make anyone feel comfortable. And what I love so much is that, as was mentioned earlier, there are women at the forefront and we don't have to hide, right? I love Malcolm X. I, love a lot of what Dr. King did and Bayard Rustin, even though he doesn't get as much shine as he definitely deserved, right? But people like Ella Baker, Fannie Hamer, all these folks are in the background. We don't learn about them in schools. But now you have women at the forefront, and there are a lot of Black men who are propping us up saying, look, you might want to talk to me, but really talk to this sister over here. So I'm really excited about that. The Black Lives Matter movement has made monumental changes, and it is, much like Ms. Jackie said, right, it's on the back of all the movements that came before us. We're not just like stepping out and saying, I'm gonna do this. We are looking at what our ancestors have done and building upon that, making it digitally relevant, and going from there. So I'm very excited about Black Lives Matter in Louisville specifically, but also across the globe, because this really is an international uprising in the name of Black lives.
Yes, I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't really understand is that the American experience of freedom, I mean, while chattel slavery is something that's unique, the fight for freedom, the fight for civil rights, the fight for not being othered and colonized, is something that is a global thing, and that there are people in so many other countries that could actually definitely understand what we're going through and have been standing in solidarity with us in this country. Let me just ask you a question. Do you feel like this movement has been effective? Now, we saw that it happened fairly well. No, it lasted for a really long time. The protests lasted for a historic time in this country. And I think that's mainly is due to the fact that we're in COVID right now. But do you feel like that we were very effective at, one, getting out the message, and two, changing attitudes towards Black people? And I will let Tara start off with this.
It has to a certain degree. I think people are starting to have more conversations. I think people are starting to feel a little uncomfortable about how they, initially were treating us. I mean, even in the workplace. I mean, with the you're seeing a whole bunch of these movements, little shout out to Alex, but you see a lot of this coming about when I speak to, other colleagues, they're having these conversations. So the conversations, I think, are being had more frequently than they were before.
Yes, I do agree with that. The conversation is definitely being had. And I think that is one of the most important things, because I think a lot of people shy away from it. What do you feel about that, Ernie?
Okay. Well, I feel the same way. And especially with COVID, COVID has opened up the doors. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in, but it's also still bringing a lot of awareness, of doing this movement, to where have been doors that has been opened, not only just dealing with, the school district of Philadelphia, the schools being closed, children, and access to a little bit more information, and parents getting information than what they normally do. So it's kind of like bringing the two together in a weird type of way to, if I'm making sense.
Yeah, you are.
Because, educational piece of who our children are learning from, to teach our children now from their, I want to say comfort of our homes, but, we have access to more governmental things than before. The Black Lives Movement protests, the mail-in ballots of voting, the voting, this year's election, November election, how important it is that we get out the vote. So it's so much going on, but it still takes us right back to how Black Lives Matter. A lot of times people don't realize how much we contribute in our community, for a long period of time. I've known and I've seen Miss Jackie around, but I really got to know her during the stadium stop, issues, and going to the meetings, and them, like, listen, tear this down. We're not allowing these things to happen in our community. And then with gentrification everywhere, and, everything leads back to a little bit of back to our communities. Now we're dealing with so much that if we don't work together at this time, August, moving into September, close to November, my.
Well, that's a really good point, Ernie, and I think you're pushing me ahead, because I wanted to ask this question. Okay, do you think, and I'm going to toss it to Miss Jacqueline, do you think what we are doing is too broad? A lot of people sometimes say that we as a people need to focus on one issue and get that moved forward, right? But it seems like this come around, and I could be wrong, and so that's why I'm asking you, so you can give me a little context, right, on the historical precedent of this now being we are the children or the grandchildren of the civil rights leaders that are now passing away. And, sometimes when we're coming at it, I'm coming at it from a work experience. Another person's coming at it from a food experience, trying to get food to the Black community. Other people are trying to fight for criminal justice. That's what Black Lives Matters is about police brutality. But like LGBTQ people are now starting to assert themselves in this space, with transgender Black women getting killed on a daily basis. Message. So I'm just curious, do you feel like we are making this too broad? to the point where we're going to be ineffective. And so I'll let you go ahead and speak on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think that we need to be broadly focused. I had this discussion with one of the folks, Tina Marie Russell, one of the activists for North Central CDC. She said, Black Lives Matter, they acted talking about statues. And I said, back up, back up, back up. There's got to be that group within the group that can handle that. You're handling food. Other folks can do the other things. No, I don't think it's too broad. I think we need to be broadly focused. If there are 10 items right now on the agenda in terms of food security, in terms of housing, we have these encampments. I was at a wild meeting yesterday that was getting all out of hand. You know, it's for us, it's the food, it's the housing, it's the employment, but it's also the mental health. All of these issues, everybody, we know what our challenges have been. We need to list out those challenges. If it's 25 challenges, let it be 25 challenges. We have enough of us, I think, who can say, if I'm in the health field as a nurse, a doctor, as a researcher, you know, get to that work. But also tune in to find out what's happening with your local chapter of Black Lives Matter, along the other things that you belong to. If you belong to a civic organization or what is a fraternity or so, whatever it might be, we've always done that. That's why I'm saying a lot of things that I'm seeing now are bringing back memories. I don't know if at the age, I see young faces. So I'm 70 years old.
I don't believe
I
it.
turned
I need to
70
see
in
ID.
March. I'm gonna show you my ID. But I was born in this. I was born in the South. My mother wanted my sister and I born in the South, in Portsmouth, Virginia, which was her home. As a matter of fact, we just found her high school. You know that book you sign off and telling people about their success? We just found it like a couple hours ago. And what I'm saying is that she was born in 1920. I was born in 1950. Her father was born 1880. I'm 4 generations out of slavery. Slavery is still close to us. Okay, we want to distance it. Ain't no distancing that. Okay, and if I could just put this other piece in, I keep hearing now, and Kamala Harris, I'm proud of her. I want her to move it. I want her to go to Supreme Court. But now this word keeps coming up, you know, family of immigrants. My story ain't no immigrant story. My story is the story being dragged here. And we need to make that distinction real fast, okay? There are those who are immigrants, even the people of color, but I ain't with that group. I'm with that group that was dragged here against our will about concerning an economic war. So, so as I'm saying what I'm saying, we need to be broadly focused. We need to have those scholars to speak up and make that clear. I had a girlfriend today say, well, I don't want to be racist. You can't be racist, girl, right? You don't got the power to do that. I may have it later, but you don't have it now, all right? So I'm just saying that we need to be broadly focused because there are enough of us. If there are 50 million, 45, 50 million of us, maybe make 15 million children, maybe another 10 million adults. That's a good number for us to be at every little piece of what we have to do. So I think, Alex, in response to your question, if I am answering it, is that we don't need to do one thing at a time. We've never done that. Black women in particular, Black men too. We've always had to do 12 different things and do it well, which we have tried to do and we continue to do. Some of us, in terms of this high poverty in this city, are very, very extremely troubled. Okay. I live in North Central. I'm right here. I don't do the kind of stuff I used to do. My knees are talking to me at 70. Okay. But what I'm saying is this: whatever it is has to be done. We need to be there right now. If I can just put this in, we need to have people going to Zoom meetings of city council to find out what these folks are doing, because they're slipping crap in, okay, that may hurt us. We need to have people right there. So in terms of your question, I feel broadly focused. Get the mission and the vision for all of the checklists. Just make the checklist. Who's handling this? Who's handling that? If there's no one from a Black Lives Matter chapter, I went to a thing on Sunday where it was about the women, incarcerated women, but also trans women. There's so many things I didn't know about that population of people that it was a learning experience, but those young folks, they were on it. You hear me? They were on it to the max. So I'm just saying, no, I don't think we need to be overly focused, but on those critical elements, we need to be broadly focused and get the mission and get the work done and keep at it.
So, I mean, I'm going to toss it to you, Shauntrice, because I know you. You are trying to, if you see a problem, you're going to be out there trying to fight it. So how do you feel about this broad movement, and what do you think should be what do you think is the most attainable goals in this movement?
Yeah, first let me say I'm one of Miss Jackie's new fans because everything she said got me over here excited. So thank you. Yeah, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna be your new fan. So for me, I absolutely agree. It might not be broad enough. Right now in Louisville, we have a housing justice fight going on. Shamika Shaw here is running one of our first ever Black tenant units, tenant union period, right? Led by a Black woman. We have a fight going on right now to make sure that people are fed. Feed the West. There's other organizations, right? We have Black businesses stepping up. So now is the time to ask for everything we ever needed and wanted as Black people. And like, we don't have to be in silos. We don't have to say like, okay, I'm only working on housing justice, so I'm not gonna help y'all. No, it's all interconnected. Redlining messes us up, right? So we need access to capital. We need access to proper housing. We need to be able to call these landlords. Like me as a homeowner, I'm calling code violations on landlords who are slumlords, because the tenants, if they call, they will get retaliation against them, right? We're also calling out our mayor and holding him accountable. We are calling out the police department. We are showing up for our seniors who don't have adequate care and making sure that we're taking care of our elders. So it is a multifaceted thing, and we can't be successful if it's just one thing you're working on. I think a lot about the Montgomery bus boycott. It took, I think, over a year for that to happen, right? You had some people who were out with signs. You had some people who were giving rides from wherever they started to their place of work. You had some people who were preparing meals. You had people like Rosa Parks sitting on the bus, right? And there were women before her, of course, who also did the same thing, but they were dark skinned, they didn't get as much shine. But so we have all these different parts. It's not just a one-time thing. This is a marathon. And so it is absolutely essential that we do this. And because of COVID, even though it's a tragedy that we have this pandemic, it has forced white people to sit. There's nothing to do. You can only watch so much Netflix, right? So you have to recognize that Black people are being treated differently. I just got finished arguing with a young lady who lives in an affluent community. She was like, well, maybe, the Krogers or the grocery stores in the Black areas, they're just out of food. No, we've actually never had okra, bok choy, a lot of the things that y'all have access to. This is historic. This is pre-pandemic. So it's forcing people who would otherwise be able to live their lives and ignore the problems to see it head on. They have no choice. There's nothing else to do. And so I am very thrilled that we have so many different groups coming together. And we argue all the time, but we are for Black liberation. We are for Black excellence. And so regardless of the petty arguments and distinctions and whatever group you may be part of, we are coming together to combat police terrorism, to combat housing injustice, to combat the food apartheid. So yes, I'm very excited about that. So this is, for me, I feel so blessed to live in this time where sisters like Chanel Helm at Black Lives Matter, right? People like Taylor Ryan that run Change Today, Change Tomorrow. We have all these people who are coming together despite where we may have come from. We are all Black and we are all trying to thrive. And so I'm very excited about that.
So my thing is this, and I'm going to ask you guys. I mean, I know in the past we've had liberal movements, right, where for instance, the Jewish they funded a lot of the civil rights movement back during the civil rights time. We had great relationships when we had Huey P. Newton, and he was trying to tie the LGBTQ movement to the Black Panthers movement, saying that we need to support oppressed people that way. And sometimes the women's liberation movement came through, and African Americans would support some of those movements. So bringing you movements together and kind of joining them together so that they can all support each other. What do you guys think about that? Because I heard some pushback about the whole Redskins issue, right? And it's a shame that there's a whole team that's named after something that is a racial epithet. Is that what they call it? It's a racial slur. Right? for people. And so how do we deal when we are trying to bring movements together? And how do you feel about doing that? All right. And we'll go to Ernie to start this off. But first, let me say this because I always forget to say it. Please like, comment, and share. Share this with your friends. If they're talking about something on this live that you think that other people should hear, or if they're talking about something that speaks to you that you think will speak to somebody else, go ahead and share this on your page. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and show it to them. If they don't have a Facebook page, send them the link to the YouTube. All right. But Ernie, what do you think about bringing movements together and how effective that is?
I think it's great. You know, the more, you know, a lot of time people don't really pay you no mind unless you are strong in numbers. You know, almost, you know, like the union, you know, movement. You know, I was union for 17 years. So when we went out to rally and fight, if people didn't see you in hundreds of numbers, they didn't take you serious. So now the movement that are coming together, you know, and you coming off in solidarity, and you coming out in a movement that looks strong, and then the people that's backing you, I think it's great. Like I said, moving forward, we need everyone to come together and work together. You know, things of the past is coming back. You know, it's kind of like we're moving forward. We're back, but we're moving forward to a point to where if we don't, you know, come together as a collaborative whole, and what, you know, Shauntrice said, and, you know, all these things we have access to. We're getting so much food now, and you know, a lot of our households that didn't know what fruit and vegetables were, we getting that now, you know, because of the different organizations that's coming together just to give us more food in the home. You know, different organizations, our CDCs are coming together. You know, I've been a part of the Logan CDC organization. So everybody is coming together. And if we don't do that right now in this time and point, then you know, we're you know, no one will benefit, and we all have to benefit. We all together as a Black Lives Movement, women, Black women, our children, educating our children, educating the youth in our community. The gun violence you see here in Philadelphia and everywhere else, we'll be talking about Philly right now, is just really out of control. You know, the rallies that we're doing and the marches that we're doing, a lot of people are saying, you know, enough is enough. We got to find out ways to bring in organizations to help in this movement. So all that is positive and are collaborative and are strong-minded, have an agenda, just don't speak of things. You got to have an agenda. You got to have people on the same page. You know, you really got to come correct right now in order to make all our movements say something. You know, it's coming from 2 days ago. You know, you really have to have a strong movement and to make sure that your vision and your passion is on point, because our lives is at stake, you know. So that's my input on the us coming together and
yeah. So let me toss this question at you then, Tara. Like, a lot of people say that the hardest person to work with to get stuff for Black people are Black people, right? So sometimes, you know, when we're having conversations like this around what is the best way to move a movement forward and stuff like that, or like what is the best approach, or we need to focus on ourselves. We don't need to focus on LGBTQ people, or we need to focus on ourselves. We don't need to focus on women too, or we need to focus on Black men in our community, or like we don't need to talk about police brutality. We need to talk about Black people killing other Black people, and they try to divert. What do you say to people who are kind of like resisting this movement because they don't necessarily respect it?
You know what? I pretty much agree with Ernie. all have to work together. We all have to educate ourselves. It's power in numbers. Educate yourself on the police brutality, LGBTQ banners, Black Lives Matter. We have to educate ourselves and work together.
Yeah, I hear that because I feel like they all intertwine, right? When you're talking about Black lives, right? All Black lives matter, right? I mean, I know that the all lives matter thing just kind of has a rough space to it, but when you're talking about Black lives, like you're talking about Black children, you're talking about Black seniors, you're talking about Black LGBTQ people. When we have an epidemic in this country where with trans women's lives, like Ms. Wiggins brought up, and we see that they literally found somebody's body dismembered in the river. I think this was last month, a transgender woman. Like when you're talking about these lives, I mean, I think you're not only speaking to the police, you're not only speaking to the government, we're speaking to ourselves, right? So like when you're talking about Black lives, how do you make sure that you are including everybody in it? And I'll bring it to Shauntrice for that. How are you making sure that when you communicate Black Lives Matter, and you are communicating it not necessarily to your white coworker, because that's easy. It's easy for us to tell a white person, oh, white supremacy, you guys are hurting Black people, you're pushing back the movement. But how do you talk to another Black person and say, yes, Black Lives Matter, even that gay person up the street that you don't want to hang out with, or even that bougie person up the street that you feel like is an asshole that talks to you? How do you communicate Black Lives Matter to all people?
So I'm big on money talks, right? In my organization, we spent thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars with businesses, whether we are getting catered food, whether we are getting t-shirts made. And we've run across some people who were transphobic, homophobic, and guess what? We cut that dollar off quick. Right. And I appreciate supporting Black businesses, but if you are a Black business and you say things like trans women are not real women, or you say things like gay men are stealing all the men from straight women, like whatever, like, or if you're saying that like elders cannot be in the movement, they're the past and we don't need to listen to them. If you're not for all Black lives, you can't have my green dollar. That's the way it is most effectively communicated. The same way that I will take my money out of a white business that does something messed up to Black people, I don't mind doing that to someone else, because at the end of the day, we need every sector of that. I mean, for me, I'm a cisgender woman, you know what I'm saying? And I have a whole bunch of privileges that I wasn't aware of until like someone brought it to my attention. So my job, just like I would want a white person to do, right, is to sacrifice some of my privilege, give up some of the privileges and benefits that I have in order to make sure that they also have a stage, and not for me to speak for them, but to amplify the message they already have. I'm not the one to come in somebody's community and be like, this is what you need to do this. No, I don't want nobody to do that to me. So my big thing is speaking consistently and constantly with people from a community that is underserved. So Black people who are trans, Black people who are differently abled, Black people who speak English as a second language, right? So like going to those different social locations and taking it upon myself to take, like, I might lose some money by that, right? I may lose some time or some political capital, but at the end of the day, I can't be successful. I can't be free if all my people are not free. So that's absolutely essential for me. And it has gone well. Like there's never been a situation where I took my money away from somebody who's homophobic and then it didn't go well. It actually went better. I found better people to work with. I found healthier food to purchase. I found, more inclusive people to partner with. So there is literally no downside to taking your money away from homophobic people, racist people, transphobic people. Yes, I mean, as you can see, I'm opening a grocery store. So like it's been going well. And so I say that not to brag on myself, but to say that like a lot of people are afraid, well, if I do this, I'll lose out on some money or people will look at me different. They should, because the status quo celebrates the harm of Black people, of trans people, specifically Black trans women, as you mentioned. And so I'm cool with being weird and being different and going outside the norm, because the norm also supports the police terrorism that has existed in our community for decades, for hundreds of years, since the inception of slavery, right? So I'm cool with not being normal. I'm cool with making sure I support people who deserve to be supported. They are human just like us. They are Black just like we are, and we all have to come up together.
So, I mean, I don't even know if you guys recognize it, but we're at 8:46 at the moment, right? So we are getting down to the end. This conversation has been absolutely amazing, and I'm so sorry that we don't have more time. And I'm gonna have to invite every last one of you guys back. I mean, one of you all back when we have different topics, because you got all of you do our work in different sectors, legal sector, education, economic, even food, and home and debate, and the youth. Like, I mean, all of you all just do great things. I'm gonna have to bring you back when I have other topics. All right. But what I want you to do at this time is I'm gonna give you, each one of you, the floor to leave us with an encouraging word that you want everybody to remember you as, and also how people can contact you and follow what you're doing, so that they can connect with you and follow you. All right. So we'll start with Tara, and we will go over to Ernie, Ms. Wiggins, and then Shauntrice. I feel like I'm sorry.
Can I jump in real quick? Because I need to get off. Is it possible to go ahead and do
so you go first, Shauntrice, and then we'll go the other way. We'll go Shauntrice, Ms. Wiggins, Ernie, and then Tara. Is that all right, everybody? All right. So go ahead, because I know you got to go. That's why I'm trying to be conscious of the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my big thing is therapy. I know that's not like inspirational or like very new, but that has helped me. Therapy. I know sometimes it can be expensive, or there's a stigma in our community, but literally therapy has saved my life, has made me a better business person, a better mom, a better friend and ally. And then where you can follow me, at Black Market KY, all over the internet. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, even though I haven't put any pins on my page. And yeah, I'm absolutely grateful that I got to spend this time with y'all. Let me see, where else can you find me? blackmarketky.com. Black Market KY everywhere. So when you see that, that's me. I say we, but it's really just me and my son. So yeah, I appreciate y'all, and thank you so much for having me on. I love kicking it with you, and I'm so glad I got to be here.
Thank you, Shauntrice. All right, Miss Wiggins. Yeah, I'm sorry, I put you on mute.
Oh, okay. Am I okay now?
No, you got you.
You can hear me now?
Good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. I like to leave with something that I taught in a Black Catholic concepted school back in the 70s, early 70s. I think I was reading something by Amini Amiri Baraka's wife, and it was called the Asili Anthem, the school anthem. And it goes something like this, okay? It says, Sisi Watu, Weusi, Watu Wazuri, Pamoja Tutashinda, Pamoja Tutashinda. And the English is, we are Black, beautiful people. Together, we will win. Together, we will win. Pamoja Tutashinda means together, we will win. And that's what I think we have said, all tonight in terms of intergenerationally, in terms of all that we, have been doing, continue to do, and what we're able to do. I remember teaching this again when I was at Kepler Charter School. I was there as a consultant, and the children, after a while, these little fifth graders, they sort of caught on, and they just would begin to sing it. It's a beautiful song. Sisi watu weusi, watu wazuri, pamoja tutashinda, pamoja tutashinda. And again, we are Black, beautiful people. Together we will win. I can be reached at my Wiggins Tourism More. There's info@wigginstourismmore.com. And my email is undergroundrr5@verizon.net. And that underground RR is because I do tours of the Underground Railroad, not only the Johnson House, but somewhat citywide too. So, Alex, I thank you for inviting me. I thank Ernestine. Hi, honey. How are you? Good to see you again. Good meeting you, Tara. Okay. And once again, the people united will never be defeated.
Yes. Yeah. You see, this is why I've always been a fan of Miss Wiggins. Like, I don't think she knows, but I've always been a huge fan. All right. Ernie. Oh, yeah, it was Ernie next. Yes. Ernie, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, I have you on mute. Go ahead. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna get you. There. You muted yourself. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
All right.
Babe.
I had to bring in a special guest. So I'm not going to be long. This is my son. My daughter had twins too. I have twins. My daughter has twins. So I'm going to leave it with just thanking you for, even consider me being a part of this wonderful panel. I just want to say that stay strong in this battle. It's always going to be a continuing battle. Never give up. Never give up. Don't let anyone sway you from what you believe in. So if you continue to do what you have a passion for, and that's what I always say, you got to have a passion to do this kind of work. To work in your to do what all you do, and me doing it for 25 years, it's a passion, because if it's not, it's just going to be a fly by night type thing. So I just want to encourage everyone to stay encouraged, be encouraged, and continue to move on. Continue to keep up with the Black Lives Matter movement. Continue to educate our young people in our community, teach them something, show them something, and don't just take things just for yourself. Share it. Share the love, share peace, share harmony. And, so I can be reached on Facebook as Ernie Bristow. My Twitter is Bristow Chango. If you go on Instagram, my name is a little longer. It's Ernie Bristow, unique for real, best object. I don't know. I'm weird. But anyway. That's how you can reach me through that. And if anytime you need to, some resource information, you can always inbox me, and I give you much information, because that's my thing. I love making sure people have the right resource information, the right numbers. I like to connect people to the next person, because at the end of the day, like my saying is, we all need each other, which is WNEO, which is my LLC that I am. WNEO LLC, which is we all need each other. Have a good night.
Oh yes, thank you, Ernie. And Tara, yes. Let me hear you. So, how do people connect with you? How can people find you on social media?
Okay. Well, first things first, I just want to say thank you, Alex. This was so good. Wiggins, I was taking notes, literally. I took notes. I'm going to be broadly focused. I'm going to be broadly focused. I love that. One thing I did want to leave was to say, to everyone, continue to educate, continue to get educated, continue to plan, continue to educate, and to remember that we are the wildest dreams of our ancestors. We are doing great things. I love it, Ms. Wiggins. I'm just empowered. I can be reached on Facebook, Nottingham-Saunders. My Instagram is Mrs. Saunders 616. I don't have a Twitter, but I'm ready to get a Twitter, especially if Ms. Wiggins has a Twitter. I'm follow Ms. But yes, this was awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, y'all were an awesome panel. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Okay, even before some other panels. So y'all were amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and say my last couple of words because we are almost on time. Look at them. All right. Thank you guys. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. So, wow. Let me just tell you something. I loved everybody that was actually on this panel. I mean, I've been watching them for a really long time. They've been awesome. I'll just say this. If you liked what you heard, please feel free to share this, like it, share it, like it, share it, like it. That's how we put more voices like these out there. So you're not hearing the same people who seek the spotlight all the time. I can get people who are extremely popular, who are always doing this stuff, the same talking heads, but I like to hear from people that are doing the work every day. Because those are the ones who are the silent workers, the ones who are the silent heroes that all the time don't necessarily get the spotlight. But anyway, I will say this. This is a very nuanced struggle that we are going through. To receive civil rights, to receive equal treatment in any type of way, it's going to be a fight. Power just doesn't give up. You're going to have to fight for it and take it. And so I say for all those people who are out there who are still doing this work every day, we see you. I appreciate you. I am where I am. I am who I am because it's people like Ms. Wiggins, it's people like Tara Sanders, it's people like Ernie Bristow, it's people like Shauntrice Martin that are out there fighting for our rights on a daily basis, trying to make sure that we as a people can get all the resources that we need. And this is not something that they had to do. They all have educations and advanced degrees, but they choose to be out here a part of the fight. And so I say celebrate the person that you see out there doing stuff. I understand that sometimes we want to criticize people because we don't think that they're doing it the way that they think they should do it. But if they are giving themselves to public service and they're not the face that you see on all the flyers, on all the stuff, then you need to celebrate those people because they're sacrificing their time on a daily basis to make sure that people that look like us, and not even just people that look like us, it's anybody who is marginalized or oppressed. We talked about LGBTQ people. We talked about Native Americans. We talked about all these people. All these people are oppressed, and none of us will see true freedom in this country until every last citizen in this country has equal rights and does not have to worry about walking up and down the street and feeling safe. All right. As usual, you can follow me on YouTube. It's Talks with Alex on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook. It's Alex Deering. You can Instagram. It's j.alex.deering. You can follow me on any one of these modes. Twitter, Deering_Alex. And you can definitely hear more conversations like this. I'll be back here next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Talks with Alex. Please follow and like the page so that you can know when these things are happening. All right. Thank you so much. Share, like, and I will see you guys all next Tuesday at 8 p.m.